Chris Evans Radio, we are back with little Dave, and we are so pumped for all the support. We have some cool videos coming your way. We just learned this new AI hack from the Mountain Dog camera guy, Noah. And so you're going to be seeing a lot of shorts of these long form podcasts coming out. So we're pretty excited to get some traction within this podcast. And like, I'll tell you what, man, like, I feel like not only is our training and nutrition spot on, but if we do the social media shit right, like, it's just going to be positivity all around, right? Because to me, like, as I've said thousands of times, like, your and I's responsibility is to share how to do this bodybuilding thing successfully and not be a genetic freak, right? Like, and I think that's so hard a lot of times for people to wrap their mind around, is like, when they hear me say, oh man, you look so problem, I've been doing this since I was 19. It's 19 years of work. Like, that's a ton of time. You've been with me for 7 years. Where I think people look at you and you're like, oh, they see a before photo and they see now. And they're like, oh, was it like 6 months, 7 months? No, 7 years.
Yeah, exactly. 7 years. And that's like 7 years. Like, we could probably count on like one hand how many meals I've missed.
Correct. Right. Yep. So, like, again, we need to start being the ones that are shouting from the rooftops, right? Not all these damn influencers that are sharing craziness. So, like, that's kind of how my thought process is with growing this and starting this podcast and the YouTube channel. Is like, I wanted to be that dude who the 19-year-old me could watch this and learn from it and not get confused.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that would be so nice.
Go ahead.
Like, yeah, if 17-year-old Dave was able to watch this, I would be so much further along. Versus, like, especially like trying to take someone, like, we got all these guys who are like, you have to have a cheat meal, or you have to do this. It's like, or live a little, or all or I have all these fucking snacks throughout the day. It's like, yeah, you get like, the only reason you're popular is because you're getting away with things. It's not what everybody can do that. It's what you can get away with it. It's not so much like everybody can progress that way. And it's a little bit backwards.
Yep. I mean, I feel like I'm one of the few people that will say you have to learn to eat as much of food as you and I do. No one talks about that. That was like, well, here's what they do. They throw their hands up and say, I can't eat that much. I'm not meant to be big. So I'm going to do physique, or I'm going to do classic. Guess what? Those motherfuckers are just as big. They eat just as much food. Like, it blows my mind. So, like, that's kind of my thought process on all that mess. And, I feel like, what a way to start, right? Just me just bitching and ranting, right?
Always, right?
All right, so let's get into the topic at hand, the Olympia and our predictions. So what my thought is we kind of like just go back and forth with these like prediction shows. Listen, I've been watching these since I was a young kid, right? And I always feel like I hate watching the shows where no one is, well, everyone's scared to take a hard stance. They're like, here's my top 5 in no order. Garbage.
Yeah.
Straight garbage. No, we're going to say, here are our top 5, and then you guys can roast us if we're not even close. Like, again, I will preface with this and say, we have to do this based upon people showing up how they've always shown up with the newest amount of muscle we've seen them post on Instagram and in videos, right? Like, if let's say Samson comes in and is like Dorian Yates peeled, like, we all know he's going to walk away with it, right? Like, it's not going to be close, or if Nick Walker comes out and carbs up perfectly and is just an absolute brick house, he probably will walk away with it, right? Or Brandon Curry nails it perfect. Like, there's so many people that can win this, which is really cool.
Yeah. If Brandon Curry nails it perfect and somehow has wheels, but
right, because if it's like those doorway frames, like, man, like, his side leg is good, the front of his legs look good, he's a little thin in the back, but his back is so damn big, you get distracted by it. Like, you're like, his hands are okay, but you're like, God, it's fucking back in traps. Like, so, all right, let's start. Who is, in your opinion, who's going to win? And what does work back?
Derek Lunsford, top 1.
Okay.
Yeah, mainly because he seems to have figured out his chest conditioning. And then, just picking out little hairs. That dude probably has the best structure of bodybuilding ever.
Correct.
Like, he's round and bubbly. He's got the waist of a, Chinese girl. And, like, Have you see his last back update? Holy shit!
It's wild. Yep, it's wild. Here I'll say this too. Last year he was still in the off season holding back to make 212. He wasn't fully committed. Where this year he's been fully committed, and from what I've seen, like Hani has just ridden him like a horse this whole off season into pre-contest. And listen, I mean, I know people can talk about coaches and things. There's no coach that has a better track record in terms of peaking his athletes on the Olympia stage than Hani. Now, you could say he works with the genetic elite of elite, but at the end of the day, like, when's the last time he's had a big name bodybuilder who he's missed on drastically? I can't remember. So I think what you just said is probably going to be right, but I'm going to say Samson will win. To be different, but I kind of want him to win. Like, I think it'd just be cool to fun and watch.
It would be very cool to see.
Right. So, I mean, here's my thought process. I'll explain it. With Ramy being out of there, if you think about that, like potential top 3, top 4, right? You have Derek, you have Hottie, you have Nick. And if you put Samson in there, he's going to look like a giant. Like,
yep.
He's going to look like, it's one of those things, like, I think Lee Haney always says, like, a big man always beats a small man. And I don't know, man, like his structure, especially from the front and the side, and even now, like that lat spread, his rear lat spread is really good. I think the only shot, like, where you look at it and you're like, oh, he needs more meat there, is like the back double. But in terms of muscle mass, now obviously he is yet to achieve a conditioning level that could rival those 3 guys I just named. So, it's one of those things, like, are these Olympia judges going to judge and pick shape like they did in the Arnold versus, size and condition like they typically pick on the Olympia stage? So that will play a role in it. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, he's going to be a hard contender for sure. Especially, like, I mean, he's what, like 8 inches taller than Derek?
Right.
You know?
Yep. So what you always wonder
Hottie's the same height.
Yeah, right.
And then Nick's like 5'6".
Correct. So then, like, you think, like, okay, you're starting to look down there, that's that top 6, right? Like, all right, who else is going to work their way in there? Is it Curry, which I would assume? Is it Hunter? Is it Crizzo? Is it Andrew Jacked? Like, because if you put Andrew Jacked in there, then it's kind of like 2 big men and 3 small, or short, meaning short in stature. Like, it almost will work in my mind to Samson's favor if Andrew Jack shows up off, and it's like nothing but short guys. And it's like all those guys, Brandon Curry, which Samson will smoke in leg size, and like, say, Hunter. Like, so if Hunter's in there, he's what, 5'8"-ish. He's going to get towered over. So it's going to be one of those things where it's like here, and down. So it's like he'll naturally just kind of fit in the middle. That's kind of how I'm rationalizing it, but that's kind of my thought process. So since my number 2 is your number 1, I'll go ahead and go 2. I think Derek will be 2. I think he'll get ahead of Hottie. I just do. Even though there's some of those photos and videos I've seen of Hottie, he looks like a freak. You can't deny the work that Derek's put in, and dear God, if he shows up conditioned, he could walk away with it straight ones, and everyone, like, he walks out, hits a front relaxed front double, like, game over, done.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if he could walk out and hit a back lat spread at first, and shut it down.
See ya, done, bye. That's all we need. We're gonna put you off to the side now. All right, who's your number 2?
I'm gonna go with Hottie.
Okay.
Just because number 1 last year, I feel like they'll probably reward that for whatever reason they do. Alongside, like, his conditioning is always just stupid.
Correct. Yeah.
And he's very overall just done, like, complete.
Yeah.
So he's the current Mr. Olympia right now.
Yep. And that plays weight. That carries weight. I mean, so in my mind, when I think about Hottie, right, I think he is definitely probably the most consistent in terms of conditioning. And as you said, not missing body parts. He's got an incredible midsection. Those legs are stupid. Like, and I think something that plays in his favor, where honestly he could still sneak in and win, which is why all this is like pretty cool for me to think about conceptually. He's been in the US for 4 weeks now
Yeah.
and training with Hani every day. And the ease of your mind of not traveling and not getting into this country and passports and visas and being in the airport for God knows how long, or in
Yeah.
customs and stressing and your food, like, and supplements and all that stuff, right? Like, we could see something from him that we've never seen, like the biggest and baddest version. And if that shows up, him and Derek will probably have a hell of a battle,
Oh, 100%.
of 1, 2, 2, 3, somewhere in there.
Mhm.
So I just foreshadowed that. That's who I had at third, was Hottie. For all those reasons I just said. So how about you? Who you have in third?
Samson.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I thought you were gonna go with Nick. If I had to guess, I thought you were gonna say Nick. Okay, got it.
Yep. Yep. Samson's in there. I feel like he's right there. The conditioning aspect is what is putting him in third for me.
Okay, right.
He's
Right so.
size, shape, he's partial number conditioning.
Yes.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And that could be fixed like that,
Yeah.
So that's definitely a movable thing.
Right. And I tell you what's funny, right? Is like, and it's just conditioning from the rear. It's not the front or the side.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't look at him from the front in any front shot and think he's not in shape. You're like, fuck. Right.
Dude, even his off-season check-in photos where he's like, what, 3 something?
Mhm.
His front shot's just like, oh wait, fuck.
Yeah. Yep. Agreed. Like, and that just, I think there's the sheer size of him. Like, when I saw him come out last year beside Ramy and didn't look small, I was like, oh, good God. Like, it was wild. Because listen, I got to see some like behind the scenes before he got really popular. When Samson was working with John was sending me his updates. And I'm like, this dude's a freak. He's like, just give him 2 years. Give him 2 years and watch. Like, so he could see it. He could foreshadow it. He was like, he's going to be a top 5 Olympian. So, it's been cool to watch Samson's progression, and it's been rapid despite all the competing he's done, which is wild. Which goes back. Listen, I will touch on this. It goes back to what you and I have been saying over and over again. The longer you eat the diet foods and train hard, good things happen, right? Which is how he's progressing. Now, he's a genetic freak, but he's staying on plan. He's staying focused and locked in. And guess what happens? He's growing. So, yeah. All right. So our top 3 is all the same, just in a different order. Who do you have for 4?
Hunter.
Oh shit. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I think he's gonna walk past Nick, just based on structure.
Okay. Yeah.
Because they're very, in my opinion, they're pretty similar. Hunter just has a smaller waist. They both have crazy arms.
Yes.
They both have crazy good legs.
And I mean, Hunter's quads are better than Nick's.
Yeah. And just slightly better.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
My opinion.
Yeah. All right. So you have Hunter. I like that. It's a good pick. That's a bold pick, because you put him ahead of Andrew, who he lost to in Texas, which is cool, right? So,
but you got a really pissed off Hunter.
Valid point.
He loses Texas in his hometown. That he's taking every single step after that. That's crossing his mind.
Yeah, see, I always wondered with him, like, I was like, is that going to motivate the hell out of him? Or is that going to, like, send him on a downward spiral of, like, am I meant to do this? And I don't know him personally, so I by no means can predict that.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it could go both ways.
Right. Yeah. Like, I've never met him, so I can't begin to predict, like, psychologically, like, does defeat help or hurt? Because everyone's different, right? Some guys need to win, and other guys need to get kicked in the teeth to win.
Yeah.
So, but what's funny is when you list those 4, right, they very much fit structurally into a certain build, right? Like, so that makes sense, because it's always like they always say apples and apples, all right? Like, so.
Yep.
All right, so for me, Nick is 4th, and that's just because of sheer nastiness. It's not because of shape. It's or structure or whatever. And then also too, like with Nick, his posing is so like statuesque, right?
Yeah.
So I think about that on the Olympia stage. And every pro show and every national show I went to, that top call out got worked.
Yeah.
So what I fear now, you can only pray that Hunter rectified that after Texas, but that's what I would fear with Hunter is like you get up there and like he looks good through the first 2 rounds and just starts to fade and sweat.
Mhm.
Which is why I would put Nick over him. And I think he beats. So it's really interesting. I think Hunter beats Nick in all the front shots. I think
Mhm.
probably pretty even on the side. And then I think Nick beats him on the back shots. So it's like,
Oh yeah.
it's kind of a toss up, right? Like
Mhm.
physique wise, they're so just different. And you have to wonder, like, Hunter, those last pictures of Hunter posted, he's really hard from the back, right?
Yeah.
He looks good, but like Nick is like extra crispy, right? And
Yeah. Nick is
I was,
very crispy right now.
yeah, and when I was talking to my massage guy today about this, right? I said, I think that he tried to come in so like streamlined and conditioned for the Arnold that they're going to take the exact opposite approach, and he's going to come in like a fucking house and just be like, "What the hell is this?" Like, do you know what I mean? Like his conditioning's already there, and I think they're just going to just fill him up so big that like, listen, he's got those showy muscles, right? Those damn
Mhm.
arms, shoulders, his chest will be full. Like turns to the side, that leg looks like a damn horse leg
Mhm.
to the rear. Like I think that him in fourth will be is where I had him predict. I don't think he's going to beat those top three that I just named because he just doesn't have that look that they're after right now. In my
Yeah.
opinion. So
Oh, 100%.
how about for fifth? We'll only do top
Nick's
five.
Nick's 5 for me.
Okay. Of all those reasons.
Yep.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. All right. So 5 for me. I'm going to go Brandon Curry.
Okay.
I don't know. I think it's going to be really interesting to see Curry stand next to Andrew Jack.
Oh yeah.
And here's why. Because they very have at the same time they have a similar physique, they also have very different physiques, right? So we're like Brandon will trash him in the back in arm department, but Andrew is going to have quads and abs and that detail and crispness that we haven't seen from Brandon Curry since he won the Olympia, right? Because with all that oxygen crew and Abdul and stuff, they love to feed those motherfuckers and like almost spill them a little bit. And like clearly they gave him what fourth last year because of that. And I mean, he's he's the only thing he's really missing is that like wow leg look from the front and rear.
Yeah.
Outside of that, there's every shot is just specifically the upper body is just wild, and his legs from the side are good, like they're
Mhm.
really good from the side. So it's one of those things. I think he probably got pissed off at fourth and felt like he deserved better. And I listened to that interview with Abdullah, and they said that they purposely overfilled him because they said if he's big as a house, he'll win. So the only thing you worry with that though is like, do you swing that pendulum too much the opposite direction and get him flat, which means those legs are going to look even smaller. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So then if you put him up there against those four we just listed, or five if you count Hunter, it's going to be such a discrepancy in lower body that he'll get pushed out of that top five, in my opinion.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it
That's
almost
exactly what I think.
it's one of those things where it's like it's so tricky, and why making these predictions is so hard, right? Like if we just speak about like your North American prep, right? There's so many things that we could have done differently that could have altered how you looked, whether you were harder, fuller, like, and it's so hard because those are all judgment calls on our part.
Mhm.
If someone's predicting, hey, where's Dave going to like place? They have no hand in selecting what those athletes do 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 2 days before, or what
Mhm.
their flights do, or if their wife breaks up with them, or God forbid, like something crazy happen like that, like to where they're mentally just not there. They get stuck at the expo for 6 hours without eating. Like weird things can happen. So, all
Oh,
right, guys,
definitely.
there's our top five. If you agree, disagree, post it in the comment below. Please, I want to know where does everyone's top five. Let's do it. See who gets it right. All right, so let's move on. Is anyone beating Clarita in 212?
No.
I don't think so either.
The
I
dude
think
is legitimately he is a fun sized Ronnie Coleman.
correct. Agreed. 1,000%. Like I don't know if you've been watching his prep series for Olympia. That dude is so dialed in, like psychologically.
Hmm.
I mean, he is just on it and has been this
Hmm.
whole off season. And I know a lot of people have said, "Oh, he just had a daughter, and that's going to distract him." Man, I think him having a daughter motivated him even more to support his family. So, like, based upon that, what front relax that Jensen posted the other day,
Yeah.
dumb. Everyone that I know that has seen his update photos has told me this is the biggest and best he's ever been. So I have no reason to doubt that. His conditioning is always spot on. His posing is always great.
Hmm.
He is the bodybuilder, right? He loves bodybuilding. He does bodybuilding, and he don't fucking complain about it. Which
Yeah.
to me, which is why I love watching all his videos, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'd really love to see him continue to do open shows and beat these dudes who are soft psychologically. Like,
Yeah.
so, like,
100%.
I don't even think it's gonna even. I think he's gonna walk out. He's gonna hit his shots, and it's game over. Like, I feel like that and what we're gonna talk about right now is like Bumstead. Do you think anybody's beating him?
No.
No, agreed.
Dude, I was there at prejudging for Classic
Mhm.
last year,
Yeah,
and when they posed together, it wasn't even fair. There's where Chris is, and then there's everybody else is on the third floor. He's on the fourth floor. They're in the same goddamn building. They're just not even close.
right.
So,
It's wild to me because again, I watch his prep series too during cardio, and like
mhm,
he's another one who just seems to be in it. He's just literally in it. And
mhm.
I know that everyone's talking about, oh, all the other guys have 5 extra pounds or 4 or 6 or however many. I don't
Well, so
think,
did Chris,
well, so does he, but I don't think it matters.
right? Well, that's the thing. It's like, oh, cool, this guy gets 5 pounds. It's like, so does Chris,
Mhm. Yep.
you know, and he didn't need it.
No, agreed. Because I mean, if you look at it as a whole, like he's missing no body part. I mean,
No,
you could argue arms, but even his arms are good in certain shots, man. Like,
yeah,
hey, they can say, oh, his quads look a little different because he has that one that's torn. But I think it actually makes him look a little touch free here, if I'm being honest.
yeah.
And his posing is so good. And honestly, man, like I hate to even say this out loud, but as a business, would you want anyone else to win it? I mean, you know what I'm
Not right
saying?
now.
Fuck no. I mean, he is bodybuilding right now. And so many young kids want to be him.
Hmm.
Like, and it's because well, the reason I like it is because the dude still trains hard. He's humble and he looks incredible. And he had missing body parts that he said, fuck you, I'm gonna fix. Right.
Hmm.
And that's bodybuilding. Not, I mean, a race classic, right? Like that's bodybuilding. So you can't alter his God-given shape and structure, and it looks beautiful. Like
Yeah,
it's just put together. So any final thoughts? That's our Olympia predictions.
yep,
I, I feel good about those. Let's do this. Let's
yeah.
do this. Is there anyone in any category that you feel like is going to be someone who really make a name for themselves? Like they'll play somewhere and be like, man, like that was surprising.
Not surprising. I mean, Michaela Aycock is always impressive.
Right.
I mean, she's all the girls in open bodybuilding for women are like 6 feet tall,
Yeah.
and she's going in there just kicking their ass in conditioning.
Oh yeah.
You know, she's like honestly just murdering people with conditioning.
Well, yeah, yeah.
And so I honestly, I feel like she's going to upset a little bit of that women's bodybuilding. But
Like that. So for me, I think it's Justin Shire.
oh yeah, I can see that.
He will definitely be on the smaller end, right?
Yep.
But if he comes in conditioned and full, because I saw him in Chicago, and
Mhm.
he is uber impressive.
Yep.
Like he's not missing body parts. It's just he just needs to keep bodybuilding. And
Hmm.
I think with all the people being out, meaning Nathan, Bruce, um, there's no good Vito, like all those guys missing. I think he could potentially sneak in that top 10
Oh yeah.
just simply based upon structure and conditioning.
Hmm.
So I mean,
That's a really good rookie year right there.
I know, right? Like, if you think about that, I mean,
How
that
crazy
would
that
be.
is.
Mhm.
When your class at where was he? Where did he win? And then the next year he wins the pro show,
Yep.
and then goes to Olympia.
Yeah.
Taking top 10 would be like that would just be amazing.
Well, because listen, aesthetically, he is put together, right? Like, I know everyone talks about Samson and Andrew Jack and like Hunter, but I feel
Hmm.
like when you look at him structurally, his muscles just jump off the bone. His waist is teeny, and he's got giant arms, like, which is bodybuilding, right?
Yeah,
So I don't know. I've always liked his physique. He trains a little too slow and methodical for my liking, um, but it works. So
yeah,
you can't deny it. And I still watch his training videos because to me it's like there's always something that can be learned for someone who's grown that much in that short a period of time. So that's it. I think that's all I got today.
yeah,
I feel like that this is a good little like bang bang episode. Um, and man, I'll tell you what, I've really been enjoying these podcasts, and I know nothing but the feedback has been positive. So we just want to thank everyone again for watching. And until next time, Chris Edmonds, Little Dave, we are out.